Oh, and I'm gonna pin the video. Okay. Welcome to your practice. Today we will start off laying on our backs with the soles of your feet together and the knees spread wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. If it's intense on the hips to spend a few minutes here, you're always welcome to get a pillow or a blanket or something you can place under the thighs for support. And start with your hands on your abdomen. Bring your awareness to your breath. And notice the quality of the breath before the practice. Notice if the chest feels tight or open. If the breath is short or long. If the inhales or the exhales bear more weight in this moment. And then we will use the breath to move the awareness through the body. So you can interlace your hands above your head so that you're making like an infinity symbol with your body. Bring your awareness to the bottom of the right foot. And as you inhale, pull your awareness up your shin and calf to the knee, through the thigh to that right hip, diagonally across the body to the left shoulder, up through your left bicep and tricep to the elbow, and all the way down your arm to your fingertips. As you exhale, breathe your awareness from the right fingertips through the arm to the elbow and shoulder, diagonally across your body to your left hip, down the left leg, to the knee, ankle, bottom of your foot. And with an inhale, begin to loop your awareness around again in that figure 8 shape, moving slowly and intentionally through the body, observing where in the body your awareness gets lost and it becomes difficult to stay present. Notice if the awareness stays on the surface level of your body, or if you are able to sink in past your skin to feel the muscles, the bones, maybe even the organs. Once you have done 3 deep, long breaths, 3 rounds in one direction, bring your awareness to the bottom of your left foot. And as you inhale, breathe the awareness up through your shin and calf to the knee, up through your thigh to your left hip. Inhale the awareness diagonally across your body to your right shoulder, up the right arm to the elbow, through the wrist, hand, fingertips, and exhale the awareness down the left arm to the elbow, to your shoulder, diagonally across your body to your right hip, down your right leg, both sides, front and back, to the knee, ankle, toes. And take 2 more deep, long breaths, moving your awareness in this other direction and observing if it is easier to focus and concentrate in one direction than the other, or maybe it's about the same. Are there specific places where you lose your awareness on both sides? Does the awareness stay on the surface? Or are you able to sink in and feel all layers and levels of your being? Once you have moved your awareness in both directions 3 times, bring it into your mind. And if the hips are feeling intense, feel free to straighten your legs and release your arms at this point. Observe where the thoughts are at, the speed at which they're moving through you. Take a big step back from identifying as the thoughts and begin to just witness their passing through the mind, your mind, like clouds through the sky, without getting attached or carried away, without judging yourself for what you're thinking about, but beginning to notice the habits and patterns in the way the mind turns. And then bring the awareness back and anchor it fully on the breath. Have a few more deep, long breaths here, laying on your back. Inhaling down into the bottoms of the feet and the tips of your toes. And as you exhale, completely softening back and spreading wide across the floor. Good, and then draw your right knee into your chest. Hug it in close. Interlace the hands behind the right thigh. And maybe you can stack your ankle over your knee and grab the outer edge of the foot with both hands. Left foot flexed and active, pointing straight up. Pressing from the inner groin to the inner heel as you draw that right knee firmly in towards the armpit. Outer edge of the foot parallel with the mat. And as you hug the knee firmly into the stretch, the chest, allow the compression to soften your hip flexor for 3 more deep, long breaths. And with an exhale, release the right leg. Shimmy out the hips a little bit. Feel the different sensations on the different sides of your body. And then draw the left knee into the chest. Interlace the hands behind the left thigh and pull it close towards you. Right toes flexed and active. Pressing out through that right heel to open up through the right hip flexor. If it's accessible, stack the left ankle over the knee and grab the outside edge of your left foot, pulling that knee down in towards the armpit, while simultaneously pressing out through the right heel, allowing this compression at the hip joint to soften the hip flexor muscles. Have 3 more deep, long breaths here. Breathe into the places that feel tight and sore and stuck. Open and expand with your inhales. And as you exhale completely, see what you can soften, release, and let go of. Exhale, release the left leg to the mat once again. Shimmy out the hips. Pause and feel the effects of that stretch. And then draw the knees into the chest and rock gently from side to side. Massage the low back. With an exhale, roll onto the right side body. Press down with your palms to lift up and come to a comfortable seated position. Keep your eyes closed for just another moment and check back in, building that same alignment, the stacking of the bones and joints in the back body plane that we created laying on our backs. Find it here. It's useful to inner rotate the thighs, move the flesh of the buttocks out, create some widening at the base of the pelvis, and feel those 2 sit bones. Be sure that they are pressing down evenly. From that grounding of the pelvis, we get the leverage to inhale, lift, and lengthen through the crown of our heads and the tips of our ears. Exhale, roll your shoulders together down and into your back body. Feel that the neck stacks over the spine and a lightness comes when everything is in alignment. So we are getting into the hips today. The hips are the site of our second chakra, governing sexuality, emotions, and subconscious creativity. The element here is water, and the health of the whole system, but particularly the pelvis region, is dependent on our capacity to release, let things go, allow them to move through us, clear out, and be cleansed. This is also a place where all of us tend to hold a lot of tension. One of my teachers has said that all your past lovers live in your hips, or that the traumas and dramas that we've experienced are held there. And so the work of going into and opening the hips is a work of digging deeper and deeper into your own darkness. And I'm excited about the sequence of the classes and how they'll progress throughout the week, because they're gonna continue to build upon each other. And just like this work does, right? Like when we begin to dig into the places within ourselves where we have buried some of our deepest, darkest secrets, we scrape the surface and we're like, oh, I've done so much, you know? And we think we're done. But what this practice teaches us is that it never ends, and we continue, just like the earth, to go through these cycles. And from the outside, it may look like we're doing the same thing over and over again. But spring is never less sweet each and every time it comes. And the more we shift our gaze inward and do this like deeply personal work of unraveling our programming, our habits and patterns of responding and reacting emotionally, the more we reap the rewards of bringing things that control us on a subconscious level into awareness, where we can name them and choose to let them go. So that's what we'll really be thinking about and practicing all week. We're gonna do a chant to start off. I typed it in the bottom of the Zoom. It's super simple. It's to Kali and Durga, the goddess of destruction and the goddess of slaying demons. So inviting them to help us do this work of destroying the reactionary patterns and programs that are operating within us on a subconscious level. And then the last line calls on Parvati, who is the goddess of fertility, beauty, love, motherhood. So once we have done the work of clearing out, we are ready to plant new seeds and new things that we intentionally choose to water and cultivate can grow within us. We'll first just inhale deeply, reach up, and exhale completely through the mouth with sound. Beginning this process of clearing out one more time. Inhale deeply. And exhale completely. Oh, I just hit the cat. Sorry, baby. And then we'll do 3 ohms together and chant call and response twice and once the whole chant all together. So inhale deeply to prepare. all together. Pause and observe those vibrations resonate through your body, particularly noticing where sound gets stuck, where your body constricts. All of this to give us information about where we are getting stuck. And maybe you'd like to take a moment to name something that you would like to release today. For me, it's just like always my reactionary patterns of anger and defensiveness. Something I've been working on for so long, and I've come so far. And there's just still always so much more. And then with an inhale, you can gently open your eyes. And we'll come onto hands and knees. Spread your fingers wide. Ground your knees under your hips. As you inhale, drop your abdomen down, arch your back, gaze up, tailbone lifts. As you exhale, press down, curl the spine to the ceiling, chin to the chest, tailbone roots down. Continue at your own pace. Sync the motions of the body with the breath. Use the breath to deepen the motions of your body. Allow yourself to move in any way that feels good to you within the confines of the shapes. Connecting the mind to receive the wisdom of the body. Remembering that you are the #1 authority on your body and your practice. And then let's widen the hips back into the left, circling them around wide to the right, forward. And have 3 big circles with your hips in one direction. Feeling free to move as slowly as you'd like, to pause and explore places that feel tight. And when you're ready, shift directions. Allow the breath to be deep and long, to go into those places that feel tight and sore and stuck. Expand on the inhale. Soften and release on the exhale. And once you've done 3 circles in each direction, you can tuck your toes, lift your hips high, press back, downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal your feet, sway your hips, move in any way that feels good to you here. Get your wiggles out if you need to. And then find stillness. Feet as wide as the hips, outer edge of the feet, parallel with outer edge of your mat. Spinning the thigh bone into the hip socket, all the way up the leg. Remembering that if your hips are tight and the low back is rounding here, you can always take a slight bend in the knees, right over the ankles, and use that as leverage to inhale and lift the hips high. Lift the abdomen, make that V shape with your body. And as you exhale, press your thigh bones up and back to where the wall meets the ceiling. Feel how that action in your thigh bones shifts the shape and the alignment in the pelvis, creating space in the lower back. Allow your head to hang heavy. 3 more deep, long breaths. Good. Inhale, float forward into plank and pause here. With the hips at the height of the shoulders, and then we root the tailbone down towards the heels. Feel that energy in the legs. And inhale and lift the abdomen towards the spine. Lift the back of the ribs to meet the shoulder blades. Exhale, roll the shoulders down the back and extend through the crown of your head. With your next exhale, lower the knees, the chest, and the chin to the floor. Press the tops of your feet down. Inhale, lift your heart, roll your shoulders back. Everything on the ground presses firmly down into the ground to lift your heart and crown. And even here, the energy from the tailbone roots towards the heels, lengthening the lower back. The low abdomen draws in and up. Have 1 more big breath. And exhale, seat to heels, child's pose. Allow the weight of your hips to settle energetically towards your heels. And from my grounding in the lower body, find the leverage to inhale, walk the fingertips forward. Breathe length and space into each vertebrae in your spine. Exhale here. Inhale, lift the abdomen. Widen your left hip to the left as you walk your hands to the right. Place your abdomen on your right thigh. Stretch both side bodies and sides of the neck long. 3 more deep, long breaths. And inhale, return to center. Exhale, pause here. Inhale, lift the abdomen. Widen the right hip to the right as you walk the hands to your left. Placing your abdomen on your left thigh. 3 deep, long breaths. Breathe that length and space into both side bodies and sides of the neck. And as you exhale completely, soften more deeply into your stretch. Inhale back to center and exhale. Inhale, rise, hands and knees, arch your back, gaze up. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips high, press back, downward facing dog. Making sure the hands and feet are evenly grounded. Outer edge of the feet parallel with outer edge of the mat. Inhale, lift and spread the fingers and toes. Lift the abdomen, lift your hips high. Exhale, press your thigh bones back. Allow the energy to lift from the back of the knees up and settle from the back of the knees down. Head hangs heavy. 3 more deep, long breaths. And with an inhale, begin to walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Come into that standing forward bend at the front of your mat. If the hands feel far from the floor, bend the knees. right over the ankles. Allow the abdomen to come towards the thighs. Shake your head, yes. And no. Grab opposite elbows and sway. Move in any way that feels good to release tension from your back, your shoulders, and your neck. Let it drain out through the crown of the head. With an inhale, return to center. And exhale through the mouth with sound. Release the arms down. With your next inhale, begin to roll up. Pelvis spins around the femur bones. Vertebrae stack. Shoulders and head are the last things to rise. Good. So we'll take a moment to just check in with our alignment. The pelvis is like the energetic kind of center, like physical center of the body. There we go. And so it has to be aligned in order for the torso to find alignment. We'll stand with the outer edge of our feet parallel up with the outer edge of your mat, and stick your thigh bones back. So every action that we want to take in the yoga practice is to create more space in the body. Most of our pain comes from compression. So as you stick your thigh bones back, feel the broadness that is created in the sacrum. You want to press your thigh bones back so that the center of the hips come over the center of the knees and the ankles. With the thigh bones back like that, draw the center of the buttocks into the midline to root the tailbone down. And that creates spaciousness lengthwise in the lower back. As the tailbone roots down, the frontal hip bones lift. From the pelvic floor, the abdomen draws in and up. And we get super strong and stable and compact at our core. Good. With an inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, gaze forward. Lengthen your spine from the backs of the knees, lifting up and lift the abdomen. Exhale, ground the palms, step or jump back to plank pose. And find that strength, that lift from the underside of the shape. Root the tailbone down towards the heels or knees if you'd like some support. And exhale, bend the elbows straight back just to 90 degrees. Then inhale, lift the heart, roll the shoulders back. Pinky toenails press down. Center of the buttocks draws into the midline. Exhale, lift your hips high. Downward facing dog. Return to your breath. As you inhale, draw in and up from the floor to the core. And as you exhale, extend out through the four corners of your hands, your feet, the crown of your head. Have one more deep, long breath. And with an inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump your feet to meet your hands. Lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold into your legs. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Come to stand. Exhale, release your arms down by your sides. Check in with your foundation. Make any adjustments you need to make to return your body to center and spaciousness. And from the tailbone, press through the heels. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, thigh bones back. Exhale, ground your palms, step or jump back to plank. Find that lift from the underside. And extension through the heels and the crown of the head. With an exhale, lower. Always feeling free to use the knees to support the spine. Press the tops of the feet down. Lift the heart, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, lift your hips. Press back, downward facing dog. Return to your breath. As you inhale, lift and spread the fingers and toes, stretch them out, ground them down. From that grounding, inhale, lift the abdomen towards your spine and lift your hips high. Exhale, thigh bones back. Lengthen, create space in your lower back. Have one more big breath. And inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump your feet to meet your hands. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, come to stand. Exhale, release your arms down by your sides. One more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze forward, lengthen. Exhale, ground the palms, step or jump back and lower. Inhale, center of the buttocks into the midline. Exhale, lift your hips high. Return to your breath. Inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump the feet to meet the hands. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale the hands down by your sides. Inhale, arms reach up. Drop your seat, chair pose. Thigh bones back, booty out, gets you low. Center of the buttocks into the midline to lift the torso. 3 breaths. And exhale, fold. Inhale, gaze forward, lengthen. Exhale, ground the palms, step or jump back. Feel free to come to downward facing dog or to be with your breath as you move through a vinyasa. Inhale your right leg high. Lift from your inner thigh in the center of your heel. Press through both heels and press the left thigh bone back. Look back and see that you are creating balance and evenness in your pelvis. With an exhale, step that right foot through between the hands, lower the left knee down, and inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana. Next inhale is hugging your legs energetically towards each other. Allow your tailbone to settle. Take the whole center of the buttocks forward to open up through the back hip flexor. Lift the frontal hip bones away from the thigh bones. 3 breaths. Exhale, release. Ground the palms, step back. Move through a vinyasa or come to downward facing dog. Your choice. Inhale your left leg high. Lift from your inner thigh in the center of your heel. Press through both heels and press that right thigh bone back. Gaze at your hips. What adjustments can you make to bring more balance and evenness there? With your next exhale, step your foot through between your hands, lower your back knee down, and inhale, rise. Hug your legs towards each other like scissors. Feel how that engages the inner thigh muscles and lifts you up out of the shape a little bit. Tailbone roots down. Center of your buttocks hugs into the midline to open that back hip flexor. Front hip bone lifts away from the front thigh bone. 3 breaths. And exhale, release. Ground your palms, step back. Move through a vinyasa or come to downward dog or child's pose. Whatever choice you make, return your awareness to your breath. Just like we did at the beginning of class, we can use the breath to move the energy through the body. So breathe into those areas that feel tight, sore, stuck. As you exhale completely, see what you can release and let go of. This whole practice is a process of clearing our bodies out. One more big breath here. And with an inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump your feet to meet your hands. Exhale, fold deeply into your legs. Inhale, drop the seat, arms reach up, chair pose. Exhale, stand tall, Tadasana, mountain pose. Again, inhale, arms reach up. Every shape, thigh bones back, center of the buttocks into the midline. 3 breaths. And exhale, fold. Inhale, gaze forward, get length. Exhale, ground your palms, step or jump back to plank. Move through a vinyasa or come to down dog. No judgment, just listening to your body. Inhale, your right leg high. Exhale, step it through. Inhale, rise, this time warrior 1. The same action of hugging your legs together, which inner rotates your back thigh, bringing that left hip around with the right. From the back of the left knee, we're turning the heel down and pressing it towards the floor. Root your tailbone down. Take the whole center of the buttocks forward. Lift the torso. 3 breaths. And with that third exhale, interlace your hands behind you. Inhale, lift the abdomen and the sternum. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Come down on the inside edge of that front knee and look back. Maybe you need to press your left thigh bone back and inner rotate it more. Maybe the right buttock needs to hug into the midline of the body. 3 breaths. And with that third exhale, ground your palms, step back. Move through a vinyasa or meet us in downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step it through. Inhale, rise, front knee stacks over the front ankle. The legs scissor energetically towards each other, inner rotating that back thigh. Tailbone roots down. Center of the buttocks moves forward. From that grounding, lift the frontal hip bones. 3 breaths. And interlace the hands behind you, switching out the crossing of your fingers. Root down to lift up, and exhale, fold forward on the inside edge of that front knee. Knee coming towards the armpit, just like we did laying on our backs. Maybe that right thigh bone needs to move back and inner rotate to widen to the right more. 3 breaths. Maybe that front buttock hugs into the midline of the body more. Exhale, release. Ground your palms, step back. Move through a vinyasa or come to downward facing dog or child's pose. Wherever you're working, anchor your awareness on your breath. Allow the breath to be deep and long. Cultivate that balance and evenness in the breath. That brings balance and evenness into the heart rate and the speed of the thoughts through your mind. One more big breath here. And with an inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump the feet to meet the hands. Lengthen the spine. Fold deeply. Inhale, arms reach up. Drop your seat, chair pose. Exhale, stand tall. Savasana, mountain pose. One more time. Inhale, arms reach up. Drop the seat. Exhale, fold deeply. Inhale, gaze forward, get length. Exhale, ground your palms, step or jump back. Take a vinyasa or meet us in down dog. Move with the breath. Inhale, your right leg high. Exhale, bend your knees, stack your hips, open up through the side body. So as you inhale, the abdomen and the right knee lift. And as you exhale, left thigh bone is still pressing back. Length and space on both sides of the pelvis and low back. With your next inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, step through. This time, inhale, rise, warrior two. Deep bend in your front knee, right over your front ankle. Back thigh bone, inner rotates, and both thigh bones press back, fully opening the hips and the side body plane. We don't want to be here, so that frontal hip bone has to lift away from the thigh bone. 3 breaths. Inhale, straighten your front leg. Lift and spread your toes, stretch them out, ground them down. This back thigh bone is back in line with the knee and ankle. As you exhale, widening the hip back, front thigh bone cuts back, side body is long as you come down into your triangle pose. That back hip is lifting up and draw back. Front thigh bone cutting back. And again, the buttock hugs into the midline of the body to fully open the hips in the side body plane. 3 breaths. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Bend the front knee. Hop your back foot in slightly. Scoot your fingertips out in front of you. Press through your right big toe mount and out through both heels as you come into half moon. Maybe that left hand extends up. Same action. Right thigh bone back and buttock into the midline of the body to lift the left hip. 3 breaths. And with that third exhale, land with your foot behind you. Cartwheel your hands to the mat, step back. Move through a vinyasa or meet us in downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg high. Exhale, bend your knees, stack your hips. Inhale, lifting the abdomen towards the spine and lifting that left knee high. Exhale, the right thigh bone presses back. Lengthen both sides of the lower back evenly. With your next inhale, straighten your left leg. Exhale, step it through between the hands and inhale, rise. Warrior two. Stack the front knee over the front ankle. That back thigh bone is back, in line with the knee and ankle of the back leg and inner rotating. So it's in the hip socket. Both thigh bones pressing firmly back. Sit bone or tailbone roots down between the sits bones. Notice if you have this tendency And lift that frontal hip bone away from the thigh bone. 3 breaths. Straighten your front leg. Lift and spread your toes. Stretch them out. Ground them down. Back thigh bone back. Front thigh bone cuts towards the back thigh bone. As you stretch out, side body's long, come down into your triangle pose. Again, the thigh bone is back and the hip lifts up and draws back. Left thigh bone pressing towards the right, and that buttock hugs into the midline of the body. Have 3 deep, long breaths. Right hand to the right hip. Bend the left knee. Hop your back foot in. Press your left big toe mound down firmly as you scoot the right fingertips out in front of you. The wrist grounds under your shoulder. The hips stack. So this top thigh bone is back in line with the knee and ankle. The standing thigh bone is back, and the buttock hugs into the midline of the body to lift the top hip up. 3 breaths. And then a deep bend in your front knee. Land with that foot behind you. Cartwheel the hands to the mat. Lower, move through a vinyasa. Or come to down dog or child's pose. Your choice. Wherever you find yourself, return to your breath. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And with an inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump your feet to meet your hands. Get length through the spine. Exhale, fold deeply. Inhale, drop your seat. Arms reach up, chair pose. Exhale, stand tall. Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze forward, lengthen. And exhale, step your left leg back. Take your right foot wide to the outside edges or the outer right side of your mat. And ground both hands inside your right foot. You're welcome to stay here in a lizard prep pose. Maybe you want to lower your back knee down to deepen the stretch. Maybe you want to keep the back leg bent or straight and lower onto your forearms. Wherever you are, you're looking for that same balance and evenness in the pelvis. So the back thigh bone lifts, it widens to the left, and the center of the buttocks hugs into the midline. Have 5 breaths here. And with an inhale, rise onto the palms if you're not already there. Next inhale, we're stepping the left foot wide outside the left hand and bending both knees, lowering the hips down for Malasana. The most important part of the pose is that we get the heels grounded so the pelvis can settle. If this is not happening for you today, you can take your feet wide and that might help. You just want to make sure your knees bend in line with your ankles and that your feet aren't turning out while your knees go in. You can also roll up the back of your mat to place under your heels or roll up a blanket to place under your heels. But we want to allow the weight of the pelvis and tailbone to settle through the heels And then bring the hands to the heart. The elbows and the knees press together. The hands press together to roll your shoulders together down and into the back body. 5 breaths. And then ground the palms. Lift the hips. Inhale, gaze forward, get length. Exhale, right leg back. Coming into that lizard prep pose or lizard pose on the left side. So the left foot can go wide, but the knee still stacks over the ankle. You can keep your back knee lifted or lower it to the mat. You can stay on your palms or you can lower onto your forearms. But the actions in the thigh bones that align the pelvis always remain the same. So that back right thigh bone is lifting up and widening to the right as the center of the buttocks, especially on the left side, hugs into the midline. 5 breaths. And with an inhale, rise onto the palms. Pause here. Next, inhale, step the right foot forward. Exhale, lower the pelvis once again. If the heels are lifted, get some support for yourself. We want to allow that weight from the tailbone to ground down through the heels. If you're like, oh my God, this is so easy, right? You can begin to move the feet to face forward more and bring them in closer and closer so that compression at the hip joint begins to soften the hip flexors. Wherever you're working, hands to the heart, 5 breaths. Good. Round the palms and straighten your legs. With an inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, come to stand. Exhale, release your arms down by your sides. I am checking. I'm gonna just restart the Instagram video because you only get an hour there. And then we'll keep going a little bit more. How's everybody doing? Good. Yay, okay. We have more fun stuff coming up. There we go. Okay. So back at the top of your mat, we are going to shift the weight onto the left foot. Make sure that the outer edge of your left foot is parallel with the outer edge of the mat. Cross your right knee over your right ankle. No, over your left. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. You can flex that foot or point that foot, but you want to keep it active. Pressing the ankle and the knee together. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, stick your booty out behind you to get low for one-legged chair. Draw the center of the buttocks into the midline to lift the torso. 5 breaths. And with that 5th exhale, fold forward over your legs. Keeping the ankle cross over the knee. Maybe you can move towards straightening your leg. Maybe you want to play with bending it more deeply. Find the stretch that feels best, the edge that is both challenging and sustainable, and have 5 breaths. And then with an inhale, gaze forward, lengthen. Exhale, hop that left leg back and lift your right leg high. Bend the knees, stack the hips. You're back in that three-legged dog shape. Have a breath here. And then swing the right foot forward, grounding the outside edge of the right foot behind the left wrist. Preparing for a pigeon pose, pigeon prep pose. And so the closer your ankle is towards your wrist, the closer your shin is towards parallel, the deeper the hip opening. To make it more accessible, you can draw that right heel back towards the left hip. There's simply no judgment about it. It's just about finding the right balance for your body today. But either way, we're hugging our legs together, which lifts us out of the shape. Inner rotating the back thigh, bringing the hips to face forward. Tailbone roots down, frontal hip bones lift. Keep that as you fold forward. We're taking 10 breaths here. Using the breath to go deeply into those places that feel tight and sore and stuck. Seeing what we can soften, release, and let go of as we exhale. Again, you want to keep the right foot active, whether it's flexed or pointed, pressing the pinky toe edge of the foot into the mat to keep the ankle in line with the knee, to protect the knee, which is a hinge joint. With an inhale, ground your palms. Press that right leg back. You can feel free to move in any way that feels good to you here in down dog as you unwind from that very deep hip stretch. Maybe you want to take a child's pose for a moment. Maybe you want to inhale and float forward into plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift the heart, roll your shoulders back. Exhale, lift your hips. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Have one big breath here. And with an inhale, gaze forward. Step or jump the feet to meet the hands. Get length through your spine. Exhale, fold deeply. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, come to stand. Exhale, release your arms down by your sides. Tadasana. Good. One more side. So we're crossing that left ankle over the right knee. Keeping that left foot pointed or flexed, but active to keep the ankle in line with the knee. Press the knee and the ankle together. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, stick your booty out. Sit back, get low. Once you reach your capacity, root the tailbone down to lift the frontal hip bones. 5 breaths. And with that 5th exhale, fold forward over your leg. Keeping the left ankle crossed over the right knee. And play with straightening the right leg. Play with bending it more deeply. Find the sweet spot for yourself. And have 5 deep, long breaths. Allowing it to be an exploration of your outer left buttock and hip. And then with an inhale, gaze forward, get length. Exhale, ground the palms and hop your right foot back. Lift your left knee high. Bend the knees, stack the hips. Have a breath here. And then swing the left foot forward, grounding it behind the right wrist. Choosing your own adventure in terms of how close the foot is to the wrist or how close it is to the hip. Finding the edge of the shape for yourself. So it is a stretch, but it is a bearable stretch that you can stick with for a few breaths. So again, we're hugging the legs towards each other, inner rotating the back thigh, bringing our hips to face forward. Tailbone roots down and frontal hip bones lift. Find that energy in the legs, find the alignment, and then fold forward. Ten deep, long breaths. Breathe into the places that feel tight and sore and stuck. As you exhale, see what you can release and let go of. Witness any emotions, sensations, memories that arise here. Remembering that release is one of the greatest gifts that this practice offers us. And then with an inhale, rise onto the palms. Exhale, step back. Downward dog, or move in any way that feels good to you here. Maybe you feel like taking another vinyasa. Maybe you don't. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And with an inhale, gaze forward. And this time we're gonna jump the feet outside the hands. Slight bend in the knees here. Walk your hands back to ground behind you and sit back on your arms like a shelf. Preparing for Titivasana, firefly pose. The first step here is to just cross your feet. Then maybe you can begin to straighten your legs. Wherever you're working, even if you're just like balancing awkwardly like here, have 5 breaths. And with an exhale, we'll release to seated. Good job. Bring the soles of your feet together. Ground your fingertips behind your hips. Scoot in towards your heels any amount. Press down through the sits bones to lift and lengthen through the spine. Remember that if your pelvis is dipped back, you want to sit up on a blanket so that you can get the grounding down leverage to fold forward. If the pelvis is tipped back and we try to fold forward, we're just really straining that one part of our lower backs, right? So maybe your work today is just to lift up from the base of the spine. Maybe you can begin to hinge at the hips. With an inhale, rise. Draw the knees together. Ground your fingertips behind you. Roll your shoulders back, broaden your chest, lift your shins parallel to the earth. Arms can come by your sides, the legs can straighten, but keep hugging the center of the shoulders into the back body. 5 breaths. Good. Exhale the knees into the chest. And roll down onto your mat. Bend your knees and ground your feet. Press the back of the head and shoulders into the mat. They become part of your foundation here. Again, outer edge of the feet stay parallel with outer edge of the mat. We do not want them to turn out in our bridge pose. Inhale, lift your pelvis, your low back, your middle back. Maybe you want to interlace your hands behind your back. Maybe you want to just roll the palms to face up so that you can roll your shoulders under. Again, everything on the ground presses firmly into the ground to lift the center of the buttocks and the heart. From the heart, extend through the knees. From the heart, extend through the crown. And soften your butt here. You're not using your butt. 5 breaths. Exhale, lower your pelvis. Gently sway your knees from side to side. We're going to cross the right knee over the left. Lift the hips and scoot them back to the right side as you drop your knees to the left for a twist. You can double wrap the legs if that feels good to you, but you just want to listen to your body as you work. So if there's discomfort in the lower back when you twist, come out of it. Make adjustments. Maybe this wrapping of the legs is too intense, and you just want to bend the knees and stack them on top of each other. 5 breaths wherever you're at. Rooting that right hip and thigh bone down to lengthen the spine. Breathe length and space into each vertebrae. And as you exhale, soften more deeply into this process of wringing out. Inhale back to center. Release the legs. Cross the left the left knee over the right. Lift your hips and scoot your hips back to the left. So we want one long line of energy through the spine whenever we twist. And then drop the legs to the right. Again, if it's too intense, back off and make adjustments. Or choose a variation, stacking the knees on top of each other that is less intense. And then that outer left hip roots down as you breathe length and space into the spine. Exhale, soften the shoulders back towards the floor. And allow this twist to wring out the habits and patterns that aren't serving you on all layers and levels of your being. So that as we unwind, we create space for new energy, ideas, and opportunities to come through the body and into our lives. With an inhale, bring it back to center. Release the legs. Reach through the knees to grab onto the outer edge of your feet for happy baby. So the knees go wide outside the elbows. The ankles stack over the knees. The hands and feet push and pull on each other. And you can move in any way that feels good to you here. It is the final pose of the practice. When you are ready, you can relax, release, and open into Savasana, final relaxation. Remembering that it is always an option to keep the knees bent with the feet wide and let the knees fall together so that the low back is supported and the legs can relax. Another nice way to take Shavasana is with the legs up on a chair or even up the wall so that the low back can soften and spread wide across the floor. Wherever you find yourself, return your awareness to your breath and allow it to be so deep and so long that it touches down into the bottoms of the feet and the tips of your toes. Each exhale, soften back and spread wide. Release residual tension, anxiety, criticalness from the body with the breath through the fingertips. So this practice clears our bodies out. Shavasana allows all of the new intentions and alignment that we've set in the practice to sink into and infuse each and every cell in our body and beings. Take this moment to savor any insights you've received, anything you were able to release from the body or mind through your practice today. And begin to intentionally deepen your inhales, the aspect of the breath that enlivens and invigorates. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Gently sway your head. With your next inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Give yourself a big stretch from fingertips to tippy toes. Exhale here. Inhale, draw your knees into your chest. And exhale, roll to the right side body. Pausing for a moment in this fetal position. Gather your bearings. When you are ready, press down with your palms to lift up. Keep your eyes closed for just another moment as you come to a comfortable seated position. Return your awareness to your breath. Notice the quality of the breath after your practice. Notice where in your body you're still holding tension and where some things may have shifted. Observe the speed of the thoughts through the mind in this moment. And then return your awareness to anchor fully on your breath. We will seal our collective efforts with a single Om, allowing your pelvis to be heavy and ground you down. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the heart and crown. Exhale, soften the shoulders together down and into your back body. Lean back to stack the vertebrae. Align this internal antenna within us that connects us to all things. And inhale deeply. Bring your hands to your heart and bow your head in gratitude for the tools of this practice that give us the energetic tools to face and slay our own demons. Thank you guys for being here and practicing today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton.
Have a good day.
You too. Have a good day, y'all. Bye.